That was really cool to be able to explore that human side, and that was my main attraction to doing Hawkeye in the first place, because...
Do you feel you have to carry the Iron Man movies in a way that you don't when there's lots of you?
It just comes down, it's just a matter of schedule. I mean, you know, when you're in every shot of something, you know what I mean? Well, it's kind of like...
Marvel was once unstoppable, the king of Hollywood, breaking records and dominating pop culture with every new release. But now, shocking news has rocked the industry. Disney's Marvel Studios is panicking after reports that Warner Brothers has swooped in and signed key Avengers cast members. Could this be the final blow that proves Marvel is dead? For over a decade, the Marvel Cinematic Universe ruled the box office. From Iron Man to Avengers, Endgame, Marvel didn't just make movies, it created a cultural phenomenon. Fans packed theaters, merchandise flew off shelves, and Disney built an empire on superheroes. But in recent years, cracks began to show. Films underperformed, Disney Plus shows divided fans, and audiences who once worshipped Marvel started asking tough questions. Now, with Warner Brothers stepping in and securing massive deals with actors once tied to the Avengers, the unthinkable has happened. Marvel's crown may finally be slipping. So, how did Disney let its most valuable franchise fall apart? And can Marvel survive when its biggest stars are being lured away by the competition? To understand Marvel's collapse, we need to go back to when it seemed untouchable. Starting with Iron Man in 2008, the MCU built an interconnected world no studio had ever attempted before. By the time the Avengers hit theaters in 2012, Marvel had changed cinema forever. Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Chris Evans as Captain America, Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, and the rest of the cast became household names. Together, they made Marvel a cultural juggernaut, culminating in Avengers Endgame, which earned nearly $3 billion worldwide. But here's the question: when you reach the top, where else can you go? Marvel had peaked, and the fall was about to begin. After Endgame, Marvel faced an impossible task: keeping fans invested without its original Avengers leading the way. Tony Stark was gone, Steve Rogers was retired, and Black Widow's story had ended. The studio tried to push forward with new characters and Disney Plus spin-offs, but the results were mixed. Films like Eternals and Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania flopped with critics and underwhelmed at the box office. Fans complained of superhero fatigue, blaming bloated storylines, weaker villains, and an over-reliance on CGI. Meanwhile, Warner Brothers, once mocked for its messy DC films, started regrouping. With James Gunn at the helm, WB saw an opportunity. If Marvel was stumbling, why not take advantage? But no one expected Warner Brothers to go this far, by targeting the very stars who made Marvel iconic. Could Disney really lose its greatest assets, the Avengers themselves? For years, Warner Bros. Struggled to keep pace with Marvel. The DC Extended Universe had moments of brilliance, like Wonder Woman and Aquaman, but films like Batman v Superman and Justice League left fans divided. The studio needed a bold strategy to truly compete, and then they saw Marvel faltering. Instead of doubling down on risky reboots, Warner Bros. Turned its attention to the stars. The actors who had carried Marvel to glory were now free agents. Contracts had ended, storylines had wrapped, and many of them were ready for new challenges. So, WB made its move. Negotiations began behind closed doors. What if Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, or Scarlett Johansson appeared in brand new Warner Bros. Projects? What if the faces once tied to the Avengers became the faces of DC? For fans, it was almost unthinkable. The same actors who had built the MCU could now be the very ones to help build Marvel's competition. It wasn't just a win for Warner Bros., it was a direct strike at Disney's crown jewel. And when whispers of contracts being signed hit the headlines, Disney's panic was impossible to hide. But how did Marvel, once invincible, lose control of the very stars who defined it? Inside Disney, alarms went off. Marvel Studios had spent years carefully planning phases of interconnected films, but without its biggest stars, the formula was collapsing. Executives scrambled. Could they bring back old heroes through multiverse storylines? Could they pay top dollar to re-sign actors like Downey or Evans, even after their characters had been written out? Marvel tried exactly that with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and Avengers, Secret Wars rumors, teasing that anyone could return. But here's the problem: nostalgia only works for so long. Fans wanted strong stories, not endless recycling of the past. Meanwhile, Warner Bros. Was offering these same actors fresh opportunities, new roles, new franchises, and the chance to reinvent themselves outside of Marvel's shadow. The result? Disney looked desperate, while Warner Bros. Looked bold. And fans were left wondering, is this the moment Marvel finally loses its grip on the superhero throne? The strength of Marvel was never just in its stories. It was in its cast. Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man was the spark that ignited the MCU. Chris Evans embodied the heart of Captain America. Scarlett Johansson gave depth to Black Widow. And Chris Hemsworth carried Thor into legend. Together, they became cultural icons. But by the time Endgame ended, their contracts were over. For some, it was bittersweet. For others, it was liberation. Marvel had built them into household names, but it had also locked them into years of playing the same roles. Warner Bros. Recognized this and swooped in. Reports surfaced of massive deals being signed. Not cameos, not gimmicks, but leading roles in major WB franchises. Imagine Iron Man's face in a DC blockbuster. Imagine Captain America crossing over into another cinematic universe. For fans, it was shocking, almost surreal. And while Marvel toyed with multiverse teases to bring old characters back, WB was promising these actors brand new beginnings. It wasn't just about money, it was about freedom. But if Warner Bros. Was winning the loyalty of Marvel's biggest stars, what was Disney left with? Could Marvel survive without the heroes who built it? Disney tried to pivot. Instead of leaning on the old guard, Marvel poured resources into its next generation of heroes. Shang-Chi, the Eternals, Ms. Marvel, America Chavez, and the Young Avengers. On paper, it looked like the perfect plan, passing the torch to a younger, more diverse cast. But in practice, audiences weren't buying it. Films that were supposed to launch Phase 4 into glory underperformed. Disney Plus shows struggled to maintain viewership, with critics calling the MCU overextended. What had once been an interconnected web of stories now felt bloated and confusing. The irony? While Marvel once mocked DC for endless reboots, fans began accusing Disney of doing the same. Recycling old characters through multiverse gimmicks, resurrecting dead heroes, and relying too heavily on nostalgia. And as Warner Bros. Gained momentum with fan-favorite stars, Disney's Marvel found itself with a franchise in search of direction. So the question became clear. If Warner Bros. Was winning hearts, minds, and contracts, was Marvel's reign already over? For decades, Warner Bros. Had owned DC, but struggled to turn its iconic characters into consistent box office powerhouse. Yes, Batman and Superman were global icons, but the studio's attempts to build a connected cinematic universe faltered time and again. Justice League was supposed to rival the Avengers. Instead, it became a cautionary tale. But Warner Bros. Learned from its mistakes. With James Gunn taking creative control, they began reshaping DC from the ground up. Instead of chasing Marvel's formula, they embraced a bolder strategy. Give the audience something fresh, while still honoring the past. And now, with Avengers cast members stepping into the fold, WB has the ultimate weapon. It's not just about bringing in talent, it's about sending a message. The faces of Marvel's glory days are now ours. For fans, this is more than casting news. It's symbolic. If the very actors who built Marvel's empire are now wearing Warner Brothers colors, what does that say about the future of Disney's most valuable franchise? Could this finally tilt the balance of power in the superhero movie wars? While Warner Brothers was gaining goodwill, Disney was facing backlash. Once praised for revolutionizing cinema, Marvel was now accused of flooding the market with mediocre content. Fans complained that the MCU had lost its soul, trading quality storytelling for endless quantity. Box office numbers reflected the frustration. Movies that were supposed to dominate, like Eternals and Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, underperformed. Disney Plus shows received mixed reactions, with many fans admitting they felt burned out. At the same time, Warner Brothers positioned itself as the underdog making a comeback. The casting of former Avengers actors wasn't just about business, it was about winning fan loyalty. Suddenly, social media was filled with hashtags claiming Marvel was finished, and DC was finally rising. For Disney, this wasn't just about losing stars, it was about losing trust. The audience that once defended Marvel at all costs was now questioning whether the studio could ever recapture its magic. So the question loomed large. Could Marvel adapt in time, or was the end already written? With Warner Brothers gaining ground and former Avengers stars moving across enemy lines, Disney found itself in uncharted territory. The studio that once felt invincible was now scrambling to hold on to relevance. Their solution? Go all in on the multiverse. By teasing the return of Iron Man, Captain America, and even villains long thought dead, Marvel hoped to recapture the emotional spark of Endgame. Rumors of Avengers. Secret Wars became the ultimate last card, a movie that could bring back nearly every beloved character in one giant spectacle. But here's the risk. What happens if nostalgia isn't enough? Fans who once cheered at cameos are now asking for deeper stories, not recycled tricks. And if Warner Brothers continues signing Marvel's biggest stars into fresh, exciting roles, Disney's plan may look less like innovation and more like desperation. Could Marvel pull off one last miracle? Or would the Secret Wars era be remembered as Disney's final flop? As the dust settles, one thing is clear. The superhero movie landscape has changed forever. Marvel no longer holds a monopoly on fan excitement, and Warner Brothers is no longer playing catch-up. With stars crossing universes, the battle lines are blurred, and the once unthinkable has become reality. For audiences, this shift might be exactly what the genre needs. Competition forces studios to raise the bar, and fans may finally see superhero films that take risks instead of repeating formulas. But for Disney, the stakes couldn't be higher. Marvel isn't just a brand. It's the backbone of their entire entertainment empire. If Warner Brothers succeeds in rebranding itself with the very stars who built Marvel, then Disney faces a chilling question. Has the era of Marvel dominance truly come to an end? Marvel once stood as the greatest success story in Hollywood history. But today, its throne is shaking, its stars are leaving, and its rivals are hungrier than ever. The truth is, Marvel isn't dead yet, but it's fighting for survival in ways fans never imagined. Whether Disney's gamble on the multiverse pays off, or Warner Brothers finally claims the superhero crown, one thing is certain. The golden age of Marvel, as we knew it, is over. So what do you think? Is Marvel's reign truly finished, or can Disney still pull off one last comeback? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories uncovering the drama behind the world's biggest franchises. Because in Hollywood, every empire falls, the only question is when.